All right, and we have talked about introduction and then geomechanics, basic geomechanics, and then propan and then frac fluid. And now we talk about fracture model and design. Okay, first, of course, if you want to design hydraulic fracturing, we start from mechanical earth model. We can do it with only one-dimensional system, 1D MEM. Okay, we use mainly log analysis. Okay, log data. Okay, we start from sonic log and we calculate this one, this parameter. Okay, the delta time for the S wave and for the compressional wave, shear wave and compressional wave. If your sonic log is available for these two parameters, of course. And from density log, we have density, bulk density of the rock. Okay, and using the data, we can now calculate the shear modulus. Okay, I talked about shear modulus before, and now you can see the importance of shear modulus in this calculation. Okay, and now we can also calculate the Poisson ratio, right? So now shear modulus and Poisson ratio is involved in hydraulic fracturing design. Okay, using this information, we can calculate the dynamic Young's modulus. Okay, dynamic Young's modulus, which can be calculated using this formula. Okay, E actually the Young's modulus, but it is dynamic Young's modulus is shear modulus multiplied by parenthesis 1 plus Poisson ratio. But it is log-based dynamic Young's modulus. Okay, it's not the final. We have to convert from the dynamic Young's modulus taken from the log to static Young's modulus, which is core-based. Okay, and we can turn from dynamic Young's modulus to static Young's modulus using empirical calculation like this one. Okay, after we have static Young's modulus, okay, because our Earth, the reservoir is better represented by static Young's modulus rather than dynamic Young's modulus. And from static Young's modulus, we calculate the overburden pressure or overburden stress by easily calculating using this formula. Okay, and the gradient, okay, the overburden gradient, okay, multiplied the depth of our reservoir at which we want to create the fracture, and the pore pressure is easy, the pore pressure gradient multiplied by the depth of the reservoir. And after that, we can use this quite scary but not really equation to calculate the minimum horizontal stress. So you can see we have Poisson ratio here, we have overburden stress here, and we have pore pressure here, right? Alpha is another parameter. I don't talk about it in this presentation. You can read the literature, of course. Static Young's modulus here. All right, so you can see the parameters that we've talked about previously now is used in our mechanical earth model calculation. And the final result is like this one. So you will have like normal log analysis, right? In normal log analysis, you can calculate the saturation, right? And also the permeability, right? Using Timor equation or Coates equation. It is more advanced form of that. Okay, mechanical earth model calculated from the log. We will have column for elastic strength, Young's modulus, and we will also have column for the stresses, the pore pressure, okay, and then the minimum horizontal stress, maximum horizontal stress, overburden stress, and also, yeah, again, this Young's modulus. So we have these columns, like maybe like normal log analysis columns, right? And this one, you can see 1D MEM from sonic log data must be calibrated using the fracture closure data obtained from Minifrac. Okay, so uh, Minifrac is done before the main fracturing. And the result from mini-frac is actually minimum horizontal stress. Okay, the closure stress is actually the minimum horizontal stress, and we get that from mini-frac. Okay, like for example, we have this log derived mechanical earth model, and we have done mini-frac. We get closure pressure, and it is actually here. Okay, and here. That's why you can see calibration here. We have mini-frac data, closure pressure or closure stress, and you can see it has been matched with our log-derived minimum horizontal stress. And if it has been calibrated, then we can use this mechanical earth model to design the fracture, either 3D or 1D. Okay. All right. Now we go to from 1D earth model, we go to fracturing model. Okay. Of course, the very basic fracturing model approach is PKN and KGD. Okay. In PKN, we have fixed fracture height, elliptical cross section, and elliptical shape like this one. And we can use this if we have fracture half length more than 3 times the height of the fracture, which is quite normal. We have this condition. Okay. But if we use KGD, we have fixed fracture height. Okay. Rectangular cross section. You can see the rectangular cross section here, rectangular, elliptical shape, and thickness or the height of the fracture significantly higher than the half length, which is not very frequent we see in the field. Okay, but again, PKN and KGD are the starting point of the modern fracturing modeling design. Okay, and with this approach, we can calculate the half length of the fracture and the width of the fracture, which are very important, okay, to achieve the productivity. Again, also in the KGD and the width in KGD, you can see the important parameters. Young's modulus. Now you can see Young's modulus play an important role. And Q, the injection rate. Okay, timing, the timing of the pumping. Okay, and then the viscosity of the frac fluid and the height of the frac fluid, the desired height of the fracture, and then Poisson ratio also involved here. Again, so geomechanical parameter is important to design our fracture. Okay, either when we are talking about XF or also the width. In width, again, you can see Young's modulus, and you can also see the Poisson ratio. All right. Okay, so design workflow now. We are talking about PKN because it's quite easy. Let's talk about how to design a fracturing using this PKN method. First, we will assume a fracture half length. So we assume XF. Okay, we assume we target the XF to achieve an injection rate QI to pump. Okay, so we assume XF and we assume injection rate. Okay, it is targeted from the beginning. All right, and then from that, we calculate the average fracture width. Okay, now width is calculated using the selected fracturing model, which is PKN. And then we will do material balance, and we will solve for the injection fluid volume from the following equation. All right, so this is the equation. Injectant volume is equal to frac volume added by the leak of volume. Okay, and then the volume of the injected fluid is the injection rate multiplied by pumping time, and the frac volume is this cross-sectional area of the frac multiplied by width. Okay, and then the leak of volume, it is quite tedious. Okay, it involves many parameters, as you can see. Okay, we will skip that. We will skip this topic, the leak off, but it is also interesting to learn. And fast forward, we now have this calculation. Okay, we calculate the KL and then parameter called RP, okay, and then AF and so on and so forth, so that we can get this important parameter, the volume of the PET fluid. Okay, is this injected volume multiplied by 1 minus fluid efficiency. Okay, fluid efficiency is the reverse of the fluid loss. Okay, divided by 1 plus fluid efficiency. Okay, and then after that, we will generate the propan concentration. Okay, we will generate the propan concentration like this one using this formula. Okay, where the CF is the final concentration in pound per gallon. And now the propan concentration in pound per gallon of added fluid is expressed as this one. Okay, propan concentration and this one. Okay, so again, we continue predict fracture width using this equation. And lastly, we will arrive at this table. So you can see we will have several stages and stage type. First, we go to PET, where we use clean fluid, okay, to frac the reservoir. And then we go to slurry stage, all right. And then we will flush the well bore. And finally, we will shut in. And the elapsed time, you can see the pumping time and the fluid type. If we use only slick water or relatively clean water, and also the clean volume in gallon, the propan concentration, and the stage propan, the mass of the propan, and the slurry rate, and the propan type. So usually in the industry, in the field, the third-party company, the one who will do the fracturing job, will give us this table. And us, for example, if you work in the oil company, we, with the engineer from the third-party company, will monitor the progress of the job by looking at this table. Okay. And as you can see, the job is only done in 50 minutes. Okay. Maybe in 1 or 2 hours. So it's quite fast. Okay. And after the fracturing job, or maybe you can design, you can predict the geometry before the job itself, you can have this picture during design stage and after the fracturing, where the third party company engineer has done the evaluation. Okay, we will have this picture. Okay, the minimum horizontal stress profile and also the estimated fracture width or the estimated fracture geometry, including half length, conductivity, fracture width, and so on and so forth. Okay. So lastly, we will get this as an estimate or as the final result after the fracturing. Yeah, as you can see, like this one in the real picture. Okay, you can create this picture in the design phase before the job. Okay, and you will compare it with the result after the job. Okay, to check whether you have done your design phase well or properly. Okay.